we finally take a run down memory lane with Vic, and this week's episode of The Penguin, episode 3, it just keeps on going, man. This is good stuff. Focusing on Vic this week, and we get to see finally some of the first steps that Sophia and Oz are gonna make. And man, does it go some places. All that and more starts right now. What's up, my know-it-alls? Okay, so The Penguin, episode 3. Really excited for this one. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. The show is continuing to do exactly what the show has been doing, which is be essentially comic book Sopranos. And it's doing it in a really powerful way. You have 2 storylines, so I'm going to cover the least important one, which, believe it or not, is Oz and Sophia. Oz and Sophia, throughout this entire thing, are finally building their thing together. Sophia goes and picks up Oz, and she takes him to where the drop is supposed to happen, this big fancy new drug. Oh yeah, she introduced him to a guy named Bloom. Now, I don't know if this character is directly related to the character Mr. Bloom from the comics. I don't think it is. I think it's just possibly a shared name. But the whole point is, this is a drug that comes from a specific kind of mushroom. And it's the drug that Sophia and the inmates at Arkham were being given. Oz calls it bliss. They just need a distributor. Oh yeah. So they use their information that they've got about Vito in order to get him to call and give them an A-OK. So Vito knows something's going down. There's this conversation that's happening between Sophia and Oz, where apparently Oz betrayed her. Oz used to be her driver, just like Vic is Oz's driver. And so she's like, was it worth doing? Was it all this other stuff?
Was it worth it?
What's that?
What you did to me. Was it worth it? Did you get everything that you wanted?
And he's like, and he doesn't want to answer. Doesn't want to answer until much later. Later on, when he goes to answer, it's in a different light, and he explains to her, he's like,
You asked. That's my answer. I got the club, a drops operation to run my own thing.
She looks at him, and she literally is like,
I don't know how to trust you.
He's like, let me keep showing you how. Boom. That's when the Falcones show up. And the Falcones, whoa boy. Falcones are nothing nice. Now, pause. We're going to go back now to the beginning of this because the actual part of the story is Vic. Vic, so the episode begins with Vic getting a flashback to the last normal piece of life he had, which is he has a girlfriend. We get to meet his family. We get to see his mother, his father. It's funny. The actor who wants to play Vic has expressed he wants to play Miles Morales Spider-Man, and he totally could. He literally is. He's mixed in. He's got a Puerto Rican mother and a black father, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, all day long. This guy should be playing Miles Morales without a doubt. But Vic, we get to see what happened. He was up on the roof with his girlfriend to watch fireworks after the election. He sees all the explosions from the Batman. When the explosions happened and whatnot, and you get to see, because they're high up on top of a taller building, you get to see when the floodwaters came in, and the waves came in at about the height of his actual building that he lives in, and he can see it. He tries calling home, but they're gone. And now he comes back to the regular life. So at this point, him and Oz is talking. This is before the meeting with Sophia is supposed to happen. And he's like, oh my God. Oz is like, I forgot completely. I haven't had an opportunity here. We never talked about your salary.
Boom. There it is. What do you say? We start you on $1 a week, huh?
1,000 a week?
And so he's got money. And then Sophia wants to take Oz by herself. So then he's like, all right, well, chill out here. You know, he turns around and says,
You do anything stupid, I'll sense it.
And I was like, bro, really? That's too funny. Vic calls his girlfriend over, and they talk, and she's leaving. She's leaving Gotham, going to California, and she wants him to come with her. He's like, I don't know, I've seen some stuff. I think my boss would let me. This creates a genuinely amazing encounter later. There's other stuff having to do with the storyline and what they're going to do. They got to test the new bliss at the club so they can show it off for the triads and everything else. Whatever. Okay. Fine. Vic is the bag man at the club. The girls keep coming to him to get the drugs and this and that. And finally, there he's in the bathroom. Oz comes in because they've made the deal. Sophia left him in charge of making the deal. Oz made the deal. So he's excited. He wants to tell Vic because Vic's the first person he thinks to tell. He's like, oh, we're in it now, buddy. It's going to be us and this and that. It's going to do the whole thing and everything. And, oh my gosh. That's when he notices the phone. And of course, Oz is a little bit suspicious. So he's like, let me see the phone. And he sees him and he's like, what? He's like, you think I was going to stop? You can go. He's like, I can go? He's like, yeah. And that's when Oz realizes Oz pulls out a gun. He's like, you have freedom. You have opportunity. He goes, and is this how it feels?
This is all you feel. You could have left whenever you wanted.
He's like, get out of here. Go. And it's going to let him leave. So now we fast forward again because he gets all the way to the bus stop. He sees Vic. He sees his girlfriend. He took Oz's car. And he sees her, and you begin to see this change in him. He realizes there's opportunity here, and I'm screwing it up. So he goes back. He goes back just in time to catch the Falcones with Oz and Sophia on their knees and with guns to their heads. And what does he do? He slammed his car into one of the Falcones and saves Oz's life. And it ends pretty much on a cliffhanger. He's like, what about Sophia? He's like, I don't know, leave her. Oz is like, leave her. We're in it now, buddy. And you're like, what is going on? It was a good cliffhanger. It got the episode. It's funny. Under normal circumstances, we might call this a filler episode. And those of you who have been watching the show for a while, you understand filler episodes are essentially episodes that get you from A to B. Sometimes they use them for character development. That's what this was. This was a character development filler, but it really worked. And it really lets you understand who Vic is. And it gave us this really interesting through line that took us from point A, where Vic is, he feels like he's an indentured servant. Yes, he's getting a place to stay, but Oz is keeping me close because he wants to keep an eye on me. But now things are different. Going into next week's episode, he's going to be working with Oz, actually working with him. Like, he's got freedom to do what he wants to do. And now he just has to finally take that opportunity. I think what was getting in the way of him doing the stuff Oz was asking him to do was that he seems to constantly have been thinking, I don't have a choice. Now he has a choice. I don't know whether that's going to open up the floodgates or not. Like, I don't think Vic's suddenly going to become a bad guy shooting up everything, but I do think Vic's going to suddenly realize there's more opportunity here than even Vic might have thought. And I'm interested to see where that goes. I genuinely am. Comment below. Tell me what you think. What do you think of the relationship that's developing between Vic and Oz? Much less, what's going to happen now that Vito knows what's going on? He knows that something's happening. And Sophia has just witnessed the Falcone people who are like, Oz, how dare you, thought you could play us? And so she clearly knows something's up. More reason not to trust him, even though a deal has now been made. Oz is part of having made that deal with the triads. It's an interesting conundrum they find themselves in, but there you go. Now you know. And if knowing's half the battle, you're halfway to knowing all yourself. What's an all index for this episode? I tell you what, if this one nudges up higher, this one takes it back to an 8.5 for sure.
I don't know where to go from here.
Comment below. Let me know what you think. Are you enjoying the show as much as I am? For me, the show is doing amazing stuff in that it's telling a dramatic story, and it's a dramatic story that's keeping us engaged, and that's what I'm really finding the most exciting, especially because in an age where everything seems to be trying to catch our attention, this show has been doing it right. Hot on the heels of the apparent box office flop that is The Joker 2. I'm not taking any stance. Having not actually seen the movie yet myself, I'm taking no position. I had no interest in seeing the original one. I waited until it came out on VOD, and nothing about the second one has compelled me either. So this feels so much more like the origin story that a lot of folks may have wanted for the Joker. And I'm really loving it. So if you're one of those people out there who's been jaded by the Joker, give the Penguin a shot. It's doing the Lord's work in terms of how these things should be structured. And I'm really excited to sort of see where they go. I know that one thing I thought was really interesting is this felt the most comic connected. Why? The connection to Arkham, the connection to like some fancy chemical thing, it felt very elaborate, though I know obviously drug operations are elaborate. Seeing Oz walk them into this or seeing Sophia walk Oz and them into this laboratory, and you see the hippie dude Bloom, who's like walking them through these like hanging, obviously manure bags with the mushrooms coming out of them, and they're getting it felt very like I could have seen that as a panel in a comic book all day. So, all right, comment below. Let me know what you thought again. I cannot wait for next week's episode. Don't forget, we're going to see, of course, the next episode of Agatha All Along on Thursday with Mrs. Know-It-All. I can't wait to talk about all the fun stuff that's going down. And not to mention, we have Star Trek coming up very, very soon. All that and more the next time we talk. All right, guys, never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all.